Hi, I'm Thorsten, and today I want to talk to you about how I find new books. Or rather, one example of how you could find new books if you pay close enough attention. I want to take you down one rabbit hole that I went down based on one interview that Mark Waid gave to the uncanny Omar of Near Mint Condition. Here's the clip.
We brought something over 3 or 4 years ago that is still my favorite thing we have ever published, and it's called Luisa Then and Now.
I will link to that interview from this video, so you should definitely go and check that out. But that got me started on a path to some books that otherwise I probably wouldn't have read. So that's where it all started. Luisa Now and Then. Luisa Now and Then was written and illustrated by Carole Maurel and translated into English by Mariko Tamaki. Luisa is in her mid-30s when she runs into her 15-year-old self and is confronted with looking at her own life from a different perspective. This book is about confronting regret. Regret about decisions that you made in your life, and even though it's too late to change events in your past, it's never too late to change who you are and how you want to live your life moving forward. It is about accepting the past, learning from it, and changing who you are now. The book seems to be misunderstood in many ways. I heard this was a coming-of-age story. To me, it is not. It is about reflection and self-finding as an adult. I don't want to call it a midlife crisis, but that probably comes close. Some say this is about time travel, and while one could read it that way, to me it absolutely isn't. This book is great, and it immediately made it to my personal top 5 graphic novels of all time. It's about growth, it makes you think, and it has a message to all who are willing to listen. I loved this book so much, I naturally wanted to read more of Carole Maurel. And that's where things get tricky, because this book is the only book by Carole Maurel that was translated into English. So what's the next best thing then? I checked out some books she provided art for. One is Waves and one is Horizontal Collaboration, both illustrated by Carole Maurel. Waves was written by Ingrid Chabbert and illustrated by Carole Maurel. It is a reflection about the author and her partner dealing with a miscarriage. This book does not try to explain or find any answers. It doesn't try to offer solutions. Its purpose is to share an experience, a heartbreaking experience that probably hits very close to home for those having gone through something similar. Horizontal Collaboration was written by Navie and illustrated by Carole Maurel. It is about oppression and self-discovery. The term horizontal collaboration is used to describe the romantic relationship between French women and German men during World War II. Set in Paris during World War II, we meet a group of neighbors who all deal with their own issues. The main focus is on Rose, who fell in love with a German. She tries to hide the relationship from her neighbors. The experiences of those other protagonists aren't less meaningful. Those stories are about depression, betrayal, and jealousy. A fantastic book I can highly recommend. Having read those books, I definitely wanted to read more. But that's about the end of the line if you don't speak French and can dive into some of the other work that Carole Maurel was working on. So, where do I go next? I went back to Luisa Now and Then. It was adapted by Mariko Tamaki, and that's where I went and read This One Summer and Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. This One Summer was written by Mariko Tamaki and illustrated by her cousin Jillian Tamaki. It's about Rose and the experiences she makes during a summer of family vacation at Avago Beach. It's a classic coming-of-age story, with Rose being the center of this book. But other characters, such as her mother, her friend, and other locals in Avago, deal with their own issues as well. The story goes one way, then takes a turn, then another. It's great and addresses different topics I was not expecting. It's about growing up, experiences, family, friendship, but also depression and others not being able to understand it. It's about projecting your feelings on others. And it's about loneliness of a teenager who is thrown in the midst of it. Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me is written by Mariko Tamaki and illustrated by Rosemary Valero-O'Connell. It's about growing up and the transition from a teenager to becoming an adult. But first and foremost, it's about trying to leave a toxic relationship that keeps pulling you back into it. Freddie is a 17-year-old high school girl who's in love with Laura Dean, someone who doesn't treat her well. Freddie is trying to find ways of leaving the relationship, but that would mean to act against her feelings. She deals with finding a balance between her friendships and her love life. And there you have it, 5 books I probably would have never found if it wasn't for Mark Waid recommending a book that he helped publish at Humanoids. I hope that me walking you through this process was helpful and gets you started on your own journey down a rabbit hole you find exciting and insightful. Never stop exploring new genres. You might end up liking them. This was Torsten. Thank you so much for watching.